Hello again, though if you are new with us, welcome to the Decanting Club. This week we have something rather special, a red from one of our favourite Australian producers, Berton Vineyards. We did a white from them back in May, the Vermentino. It was lovely, but it was from their mass market metal label range. This is their top Cabernet Sauvignon. It comes from their original High Eden vineyard, planted by Bob and Cherie Berton back in the late 90s. High Eden is this tiny area by Australian standards between the Barossa and Eden river valleys, noted for its very concentrated wines. And this certainly looks concentrated, but then it is a Cabernet Sauvignon. You wouldn't expect to see through it. But even to work out what colour it is, you have to tip the glass on its side. And then you can see this lovely deep garnet colour. There's no hint of youthful purple around the rim here. Instead, it's got the warm brick colour of maturity. For this is a 2009. Oh my. Oh yes. Now that is clearly and obviously Cabernet, and from a warm climate too. It's the blackcurrants. They soar up out at you. Actually, blackcurrant liqueur here, cassis, which reveals the warmth of the climate, as does the scent of blackberry jam. But there's so much more to this nose than the fruit. Loads of dried herbs, mint and thyme, and a very Australian note of eucalyptus. Spices here too, clove and licorice. And then that classic Cabernet scent of pencil sharpenings, sort of cedarwood and graphite. You almost don't notice the oak, which there is quite a lot of, but it's beautifully integrated and provides the spicy, toasty sense, maybe a little bit of charred wood, but nothing as obvious as vanilla, showing the great affinity that Cabernet and oak barrels have for each other. But there's more. Age has lent this nose a leathery complexity with little notes of resin and polish. The scents here are opulent, rich and deep and expensive. It's like sniffing the open cigar box on the chairman's polished leather-topped desk. I don't know how the palate is going to match up to it. Oh boy, now that is backloaded. It starts out fully dry and remarkably fresh, and then it expands in the mouth and reveals its true power and weight. There is fine acidity here, and that's supported by lots of herb flavours, but even so, they're only just enough to counterbalance the weight and concentration of rich, dark black fruits. Blackcurrant, blueberry, and sticky blackberry. Oh, yes. Only on the finish, actually, do I notice the alcohol. It's a little bit warm and it's very sweet fruited on the finish, but that is, again, nicely counterbalanced by a touch of bitterness from the velvety smooth tannins here. Again, they're wonderfully well integrated. And that finish just goes on. After the sweet fruit and the tannic bitterness, there's a savoury quality, almost like Marmite. And then finally, when it fades away, which it hasn't yet, but trust me, it eventually does, you get some more of those dried herbs that we had on the nose. This is a wine with so much of everything that bizarrely it ends up balanced. Incredible how the tannin and the acidity can provide counterpoint to that concentration of fruit and alcohol and oak. Bottle aged has helped here too. It's softened the rough edges this wine would have had in its youth, it's melded the various components together, and it's contributed those fascinating tertiary scents and flavours, the leatheriness and the cigar box. This is a glorious example of great Cabernet Sauvignon in that full throttle Australian style. It's not subtle, and it sadly certainly isn't cheap. But for a wine of this quality and maturity, I think this represents great value and I know I'm going to be buying quite a bit of it for myself. Cheers!